Decision making in C programming. Now, C programming, or for that matter, any programming language is used to solve our life daily problems. The problems of daily life. How do we solve them? Using a computer, that is using programs. So, if I talk of any C program, be it in C language or any other language, so if it is used to solve real life problems, that is, in real life problems, we have to make certain decisions. We have to make decision making. We have to do decision making, or we have to decide whether this should be done or whether that should be done based upon the condition. For a simple example, if I want to calculate the grade of students, so I need to make a decision regarding what is their percentage. So I'll make a decision like, if the percentage is greater than this, then grade is this, and if the percentage is less than this, then the grade would be this. So decision making would be involved when it comes to solving any real life problems. Decision making would be involved, and since any programming language or C programming language is used to solve these real life problems, so that definitely decision making would be required here also. So how do we do decision making in case of C programmings? So basically, what happens is that we have a number of situations. While we are solving a real life problem, there may be a number of situations, and in case of these situations, we may have to change. We may have to decide, okay, if this situation is true, then we should perform this set of actions, or else if this situation is not true, then in that case we should perform the other set of actions, something like this. So inspired from real life, or being used to solve real life problems, it involves decision making. So decision making means when a particular condition has occurred or not. Depending upon that, we will be taking certain set of actions, or we will be executing certain statements or set of statements. So such decision making capabilities in C are supported by the statements, which are the if statements. So if we want decision making capability, if we want to make decisions in C programming, so what are the statements that support decision making capability? Those statements are known as, first of all, the if statement. Then the second statement is known as the switch statement. All right. Then the third statement is the conditional operator statement. And the fourth or the last statement is known as the go to statement. So these are the four statements in C programming which support decision making. So today, for now, there are four statements: if statement, switch statement, conditional operator statement, and go to statement. So today we will discuss only the if statement. So let's have a look at the if statement. The if statement in itself is very elaborate. So for today's session, we will only discuss the if statement. Now let's have a look at the if statement and what could be the various forms of if statement. So the if statement. Now, of course, it is a decision-making statement, and it is used to control the flow of execution of statements. All right. So basically, we can say that it is a two-way decision statement, right? So either the decision goes one way or it goes the other way. So if I talk of a simple if statement, now within if statement also we have various kinds of if statements. So the first one is the simple if statement. See, just like in real life, we have if, we use the if clauses. Okay, what if this? Or if this happens, I will do this. If I am 25, I'll go for a job. If I'm 25, I'll get married. So, if this, then that. So inspired by this, the simple if statement also executes in a similar manner. So the syntax for this is you have if as a keyword, then within the parenthesis you have the test expression. That is the condition that would be used for executing the if statement. So if within the parenthesis the test expression, then within parenthesis though that statement will be executed if the test expression is found to be true. So statement block, and then after this if loop, you have the next statement which is to be executed when you come out of the if loop. So this is the syntax of a simple if statement. Now let's look at an example for the same. So example is like if category equal sports. That means you are comparing that if the category is equal to sports, in that case the student's total marks will be his original marks plus the bonus marks for the sports category. So like this, and then at the end when you come out of the if loop, you print the final marks. You say print f percentage f, since marks would be floating, so percentage f and then marks. So after you come out of the if loop, finally the total marks of that student would be printed. So this is basically for a situation wherein we say that if student does not belong to the sports category, then his total marks would be equal to the actual marks that he has gained in the exams. And if the student belongs to the sports category, in that case some bonus marks would be added to his original marks. So this is what I did here. I said if category equals to sports, only in that case, that means only in that case you would be entering the if loop. Otherwise you would simply come out of the if loop. You would not enter the if loop at all. You would simply jump from this to this. So if this condition is true, only then you are able to go inside the if loop. If not, then you simply jump from here to here. So this is how an if loop, simple if loop works. So if category equals to sports, in that case you go inside the if loop, you say you add bonus marks to the original marks, and then finally you come out of the if loop and print the total marks. And in case the category is not sports, that means if category equals to sports, this condition is not true. In that case you will not be entering this if loop. In that case, directly out of here you will reach here and print the marks as it is. So this is how a simple if statement is used in C programming. Now let's have a look at another kind of if statement, that is the if else statement. So the first if statement was the simple if statement. Now the second if kind of if statement is the if else. So if else is where we have some other option. Now simple if was for the case where there is no option. It has to be either it has to be this or nothing. But if else is wherein you have more than one condition where you say okay, if this happens then it is okay, or else we can have this option. Something like this: if it is summers then I can have mango, if it is winters then I'll have grapes. Or like the simple if would be useful in a condition wherein you say I do not prefer any other fruit other than mango. So if it is summers then I'll have mango, else there is no option. But if else comes wherein you have two options, for two options you have two set of operations. So you say okay, if it is summers then the fruit would be mango, else if it is not summers then this fruit would be grapes, something like this. So if else is wherein you are having more than one option, and if is only where you have just one option and you do not wish to go for any other option. So if else comes here when you have more than one option, you are going for more than one option. So it is basically, you can say, an extension of the simple if statement. So in that case, if one condition is true, then the if block for that condition will be executed, and else some other block which will be corresponding to the else statement will be executed. The syntax is somewhat like this. The syntax here would be, you have if, again you have the test expression, if test expression, right? Now if this condition is found to be true, you enter inside the if loop and you execute the set of statements corresponding to this if block. Okay, but in case you are not able to enter this if loop, that means this condition is not true. In that case, what happens? You go to the else loop and the condition, and in that case the alternative statement would be executed. But if this condition is found to be true here itself, then you enter inside the if loop, and in that case you do not go to the else loop. And again, after coming out of the if else loop, you execute some statement X which is out of this if else loop. So let's have a look at an example for the same. Example is, if code equal 1, that is, if the code is equals to 1, then that means the boy equals to boy plus 1, that is, the number of boys have increased. Else, if code is not equals to 1, that means what else it could be? It would be a girl in that case if it is not a girl. So in that case the number of girls would increase, that is, girl equals to girl plus 1. So this is how you execute a if else statement. That means if code equals to 1, in that case you will enter inside the if loop and you will say boy equals to boy plus 1. But if this condition is not satisfied in the first place, then you would not enter the if loop at all. Simply you would jump out of the if loop and go to the else loop, and then you would say girl equals to girl plus 1, because if it is not a boy, obviously it will be a girl. So if this, then it is a boy, else obviously it is a girl, so the number of girl increases. Now one important point to be considered here while using if else statements is that you must have seen that we did not use any parenthesis over here. The simple reason being that when there is only single statement, when there is only a single statement within an if loop or an else loop, in that case parentheses are not required. The compiler automatically assumes that this statement belongs to this particular if or else block. But in case there are more than one statements, in that case we use parentheses just to tell the compiler that all these statements belong to this if block or else block. Because in that case, if there are more than one statements within the if block, say for example, in that case the compiler will take only this statement within the if and assume this statement to be outside of the if block. So if there are more than one statements within an if or else block, in that case we use parentheses. But if there is a single statement within an if and else block, then we don't need to use parentheses. If you wish to use, you can use parentheses. This is also fine, but it is not required, because by default the compiler assumes that this single statement is within this if and else block. Only if you have more than one statement within the if or else block, then you need to use this parenthesis to tell the compiler that all these statements are under this if block or under this else block. Now the third form of an if statement would be the nested if else. The third form is the nested if else. Okay, so what is this nested if else? When a series of decisions are involved, you see, when there are more than within a condition, there is another condition. Till now we just saw simple, neat and clean if and if else. That is one condition and a corresponding set of statements, or else another set of statements. But here, condition within condition. If you have condition within condition, for such cases we have nested if else. Say for example, I say if I am 25, if I am above 25 years of age, then again under that condition, if you are a boy, you must get a job. Or if you are above 25 years of age, then again our condition within that, if you are a girl, you must get a job and you must get married too, something like this. So when there is a condition within a condition, then we use nested if else. So what is the syntax for a nested if else? Let's look. The syntax is if, then you have a test condition, then again within this you have another condition. So nested conditions, you have condition within condition. That means again within this you have another if loop, test condition, then within this like this. Okay, so if within this condition, first of all you check this condition, then if it is true, then within this condition should also be true, then you execute the corresponding set of statements. Else you simply come out and then you say you execute the another set of statements, else this statement would be executed. Then another else wherein you say okay, statement 3 will be executed. So like this, that means if this if is found is true, then you go inside this loop. Then if this if is also true, then you go inside this loop and execute this statement. If at all this if is not found to be true, then from here you simply jump to this else which is within this if loop, and then you execute the statement corresponding to this else which is within this if loop only. That means this condition was found to be true, hence, but this condition was not true, hence you jumped to this else statement. But in case this condition is also true and this condition is also true, then you go within this nested if and execute this statement. In that case you do not need to go inside this else statement. And the third option, that is if at all you do not, this test condition is also not satisfied, that is if the within the outer loop only the test condition is not satisfied, you simply jump, you do not go inside this if also, you simply jump to this else and this set of statements would be executed. So this is the syntax of the nested if else. Now let's look at an example. Say I say if gender equal female, if the gender is equals to female, and if again even if balance is greater than 5,000, so in that case bonus equals to balance into 0.05, right? Else bonus equals to 0.02 into balance, and then finally you would print the final balance, which is equals to balance plus bonus. Say for example you are calculating the salary for a particular month of the employees of an organization. So what condition you have put, that if it is a female, and in case of female also, if the balance is more than 5,000, then you give an extra bonus of balance into 0.05 to that particular female. If that female, or else if it is a female and the balance is less than 5,000, or else if it is not even a female, it is a male, then the bonus would be 0.02 into balance, and finally you calculate the total balance, right? So bonus in case of a female who is having salary greater than 5,000 would be this, and bonus in case of a female who is having salary less than 5,000, or a male for that matter, would be this. So in this situation we used a nested if else loop, that is if gender equals to male. Again within that one more if condition. So if condition within an if condition means nested if else. Simple concept. If there is an if condition within an if condition, that is called a nested if else. So this is an example of the nested if else statement. Now the last form of if statement is the else if ladder. Let's see what this else if ladder is. This is the last kind of an if statement, that is the else if ladder. So what is this else if ladder? Now, when multiple decisions are involved, there is one another way of putting the if statement, because if I am talking of the nested if else, in that case only if there is one condition within another condition, it's fine. But if there are multiple conditions within conditions, if within that there is one more if, then within that there is one more if, it would become quite complicated. So to sort it out, one more way of putting the nested if conditions is using the else if ladder. So as far as there is only one condition, one if condition within another if condition, you can have the nested if else. But there are multiple if conditions, right? There are multiple multi-path decisions. So in order to reduce the complexity, we can have the else if ladder. How this can be done? First of all, let's have a look at the syntax. So the syntax is if condition 1, then you execute statement 1. Simple. If it is condition 1, execute statement 1. Else if it is condition 2, then you execute statement 2. Else if it is condition 3, then you execute statement 3. And similarly, like this, you can go on for many conditions. And at the end, you have else. That means if none of them are true, then print that particular statement. So, which is known as the default statement. So, let's look at an example for the same, that is for the else if ladder. So, for example, if I want to find out the grade, I want to find out the grade of students, and if I say if the marks are between 80 to 100, then in that case it is a grade A. If the marks are between 60 to 79, then it is first division. If the marks are between 50 to 59, then it is second division. And if the marks are between 40 to 49, then it is between third division. And if the marks are between 0 to 39, then you consider him as failed. So many decisions to be taken. That means multi-path decisions. So to make it simpler, we use, instead of using the nested if else, because if we perform the same program using nested if else, it will become very complicated. So many ifs within a single if. If this condition, then within that another if, then within that another if. So the nested if else loop will become very complicated. So to simplify that, we use else if ladder. So what we can do, I say if marks greater than 79, right? So in that, grade equals to A. Fine. Then I say else if. Now instead of using nested if else, I will use else if ladder. So I say else if marks is greater than 59, then grade equals to first division. Else if marks is greater than 49, grade equals to second division. Else if marks greater than 39, I will say the grade equals to third division. And if it is not even third division, then it's quite obvious that marks are less than 39. So obviously what I will say, else. Then I will go to the simple else, which has the default statement which says grade equals to fail. And finally you can print the final result after this. So simply we can see how is simplified the loop has become, or the statement program has become, after using the else if ladder, wherein we had multipath decisions. That means we had decision within decisions. So this is how you can use the else if ladder to simplify it. So these were all the various the four forms of the if statement. First of all was the simple if statement, then we had if else statement, then we had nested if else statement, and then we had the else if ladder.